Hi, I'm Kim Graham from the Sewing Revolution, and today I'd like to show you how to do an 8 placement using the 6/8 Sewing Revolution. When you do an 8 placement, this is what an 8 placement of this particular design looks like. It's a beautiful big block. You can do any size embroidery that you like, it's just that this is a smaller design. So the first thing that we have to do to start our 8 placement is to locate the starting point on the 6/8 Sewing Revolution. There's our 6/8 Sewing Revolution there. We need to locate that centre point. Now, this one's a little bit different in the respect that to get our starting point, we have to make sure that our design fits between 2 red lines here. And if we do it on this section of the ruler where our little red reposition marks are, those red reposition marks are exactly halfway between these 2 red lines here. Now this is the only time with placement that you would use these reposition marks. So we take our template, and just as a little tip along the way, this design has a very fine little line when it's printed out. See the little fine line here? So what we did, we just took a fine point Sharpie, traced around that, so when we put this on, we can see where that's going to be a lot easier. So we take the ruler, take our template that we've printed out with the software from our machine, and we put that center line of the placement cross on that red reposition line. And we move that up until that design fits exactly between these 2 red lines here. Now you'll note that the starting point of this design is on the 5.5 inch circle. So we need to remember that number. So we write that into the corner of our block, 5.5, and then we need to mark up our block using our block marker with our foundation dots on it. So we place our block marker on in the centre, and we're going to mark our 5 centre dots, and these are our foundation dots. We do this with a water-soluble marker so that when we press our work after the embroidery's been done, we're not going to lose these foundation dots. We might need them later on. So we mark the 5 centre and the halfway on the 12 inch here. Take that ruler away. Just before I take that away, I'll just show you, we can also mark the size of the block that we're going to be doing. So in this instance, we would probably need to mark, I'd say at the 16 inch. So if we mark the slots on the 16 inch, it just gives us a bit of a guide as to where our design is going to sit on our finished block size. Then take that away and place the Sewing Revolution onto our dots, onto our block, matching the 5 centre dots here with the centre hole, the 1 inch vertical holes and the horizontal 1 inch holes. Place that on so all of those dots match up, and those outer halfway dots that we marked on the 12, we can see through the 6 inch circle on both the horizontal and the vertical. Then we need to mark every red line because the red line divides that circle into 8. So we start, doesn't matter which red line we start on, we're going to mark a dot at 5.5, at 6.5, which is right on the exterior of the ruler, and at 4.5. So we're marking at 5.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, and do that on every red line. So we will end up with 8 sets of 3 dots. So 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, until we come back to where we started, 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5. So what we've got is our 8 sets of 3 dots going around in a circle. I'll just make them a little bit darker so that you can see them. We then take our little template marker, which is our little 2.5 inch ruler, and we're going to match up the 1, 2, 3 dots we've marked with the sewing revolution with the 1, 2, 3 vertical holds on the template marker, and we're going to mark in the other dots, ensuring that this little arrow is pointing in the direction that we want that embroidery to be hooped. So that little arrow will point to the top of the hoop. Just go to the next one, match up 1, 2, 3, the vertical holes, and mark up our placement cross. So what we'll end up with is 8 little crosses going around in a circle, and then we hoop up, individually hoop up each one of those designs, just making sure that that arrow points in the correct direction. It's a very quick process, but it's a very accurate process. And the other great thing, if you're doing embroideries around in a circle and you're going to be doing a different embroidery on each one, which we're not in this instance, you can actually put a little code inside that arrow. So when you do go to hoop up, you know exactly what embroidery you're going to be doing and what direction that embroidery has to be hooped to. So you can see how quick and easy it is to mark up an 8 placement with absolute accuracy. Let's mark these in again. And then just the last one here. Marking in. So there, that's how quick it is to mark up an 8 placement of embroidery. It's very accurate, very easy to do, and that we all want easy to do, don't we? So if you've enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends. See your local stockist to see if they've got our rulers in. If they don't, they're available on thesewingrevolution.com.au.